Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Waffles and Wires podcast. I am Alicia Miles, and today I'm really excited because I actually have one of my childhood friends with me today and her wonderful hubby. They decided to join me today, and I'm really excited about this conversation. I'm smiling from ear to ear because I think it's just a really great topic for people that are wanting to be married and desire a spouse, desire a husband, desire a wife. And I really think this is going to be a good conversation. So if you guys would help me welcome the Davidsons. I think I'm saying your name right. Is it Eante?
Yes, it is. That's
right?
totally correct. I appreciate it.
So Eante and Demetrius Davidson. I think I said the names right.
Yes, you did. Good job.
Kudos.
All right. Thank you so much for having us, Alicia.
Thank you for joining me. Like I said, we've been friends for a long time. I feel like we go way back before even high school, but I can't pinpoint. I know we were at Rothschild together, so middle school together.
Yes,
but I don't think we went to elementary. I think we probably met up in middle school. So we go way back. And I see that we have kind of been through life's everything. And we, been able to watch each other grow and just become just awesome women. And so I am so grateful that you guys decided to join me today. Thank you so much. I want to jump right into it because when I saw that when I was trying to come up, I'll just give you some feedback on the Waffles and Wives, where it came from. And essentially, I had been having meetings in my home, just kind of get togethers with the girls, just to have something to do. And because it's just me and my husband. We have a grown daughter with a child, so they have their own life. And so we don't really, do a whole lot of anything anymore. It's just us in the home. And so I needed to have some type of interaction outside of just him. And I know you guys understand what that means, right? Mm-hmm. So I started the Waffles and Wives because I really felt like marriages were the foundation to successful families, and to actually see men and women interact in a way that is positive, that's encouraging, that's loving, I think it's just very necessary. And to be a wife, in a sense, is a ministry from my standpoint. I'm not his pastor, I'm not his mother, I'm nothing but his wife. And to me, that comes with a lot of responsibility and protection over my husband, as much as it is for him over me. Absolutely. And so I really love this topic because I think there's so many men and women who desire to be married, who are finding it very difficult nowadays to navigate, through the truth, the lies, the indifferences, the problems. I think it's a rough landscape. I'll just say that. I think it's just a rough landscape for a lot of people, especially if you are in tune to your spiritual life and you know that God desires a lot for you. He wishes and wants nothing but the best. And so being able to navigate and find my spouse, I think it's hard for a lot of people these days. So I want you guys to kind of, and you got whoever wants to talk first is perfectly fine with me. Y'all can agree on that between yourselves. But the book that you have is Dating God's Way, as revealed to the Davidsons. And I think that as revealed to the Davidsons part has a story behind it. So I'll tap into that with y'all. And I was like, there's a story behind there. So talk to me about, I want to say congratulations, first of all. You just celebrated a couple of weeks ago an anniversary. So yay for that. How long has it been?
Yeah.
It's been 8 years for us.
8 years. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh my God. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. Oh my God. Okay, so 8 years. How long did you guys date before you married?
Well,
Was it
So now we're probably
all
like
short
being in the book,
comments?
we'll say we're telling our business now. So we actually dated twice.
Okay. Okay.
Because I moved away to Kentucky for a second or two. We'll
Okay.
call it that. Then came back. So we'll say roughly probably about a year or so.
Oh, okay.
Altogether
Okay.
about a year.
So you guys were familiar, even if it wasn't like a long courtship, you were familiar with each other and knew, the ups and downs, all that. You had figured that part out, and it only took a year for you to say, okay,
Right.
mine,
So
this is
we
mine.
actually, and we talk a little bit about this in the book, we actually met because we used to work together.
Okay.
But we didn't, it was nothing like that or whatever. Not knowing until after the fact we actually had a crush on each other. But so I would say a
Oh.
year and a half-ish, somewhere around there. We kind of, on and off or whatever. Yeah.
So we
Awesome.
met actually. I had just graduated, and it was her senior year in high school when we first
Oh,
met.
okay. Got it.
We've known each other since we were, teenagers.
Right. But we didn't.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we didn't start a courtship until we were actually
Grown.
grown with kids and stuff. If we would call it a courtship,
Yeah.
and more, you can learn more about that in the
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. And I definitely I think this is a really good start to my first question. You guys marry later in life. And probably had different, probably had a partner here and there that you enjoyed life with, and somehow or another that may not have worked out, and then you found each other or found your way back to each other.
Yes, that part.
I'm just curious as to how, when you guys first started to, reveal the crush, what type of feelings were in the air? I mean, was it like, I don't know if I really want to do this, or, am I ready for this? Like, God, if you're telling me this is my partner, I want to get this right. So how, when you guys realized it was time to explore a relationship together, what did that feel like? Were you nervous? Were you, excited? Tell us a little bit about how that got started.
Well, I can definitely say we were all the above. So we're going to circle E on that, not D, but E. I know for myself, Demetrius and I, we were both alike in a sense of we were both single parents at that time. When I say single parents, I mean we're unmarried parents. People, put a lot of different definitions on being a single parent.
Right.
But for sake of what we're doing here, single means we were unmarried parents.
Right.
And trying to navigate life and doing it by ourselves.
Right.
For a while. So we weren't, partnered up or anything like that for extended time. And so we were, one, nervous about getting together because we both had kids. Two, nervous about dating again because even for myself, it had been a while. And then, like you said before, also nervous about the fact of we were both future minded. Wondering where's the future going to go. Then along with that, you always have to think of how are my kids going to react.
Yeah.
And Alicia, I'm just gonna chime in. We were spending a lot of time with each other, and again, we talk about this a little bit more in the book. But for me, like we spending all this time, I'm liking him, he liking me. We haven't put any words on it, but we go together. Like we spending all this time, we think about each other. We go together. But looking back, we never really put that handle on it until after a while. But in my female mind, like you did get me, yeah, this is my boo. Like yes, exactly. That's I'm glad you brought that up because that's so important, especially when people feel like I'm ready to date. I'm ready to, just getting an understanding coming through the door. What are we doing? What's the purpose? And we believe, as you said, it's a story behind as revealed to the Davidsons. We truly believe that you go into dating with a purpose. And if not, then you just have a friendship, but you go into dating with a purpose. That's our belief.
Yeah, because otherwise, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Look at it, the same aspects of just life in general. If you don't put any goals in your life, you have no true direction.
Right.
With a courtship, dating, however people want to label it, we're seeing each other, different things that are thrown into the air now. No matter what it may be, you need to put a goal on it. If the goal for us just to hang out, then that's where we need to stop at, just hanging out. It's a goal for us, to, hey, we're going to go to the movies together all the time. We go out to eat together all the time because we don't want to be lonely going out. There's some people just can't go sit and eat by themselves. So they have a person they go out to eat with, and that's strictly it. But for us, our dating for purposes, what is the end goal?
Right.
Is it going to be wedding bells? Is it going to be, hey, we see each other now, but I don't think it's going to work that way. Let's just stay out. We're just going to be eating buddies. It's going to be friends. We're going to put this in the friend zone, and beyond that, that's where it goes.
Be a true friend.
Yeah.
And Alicia, it's funny because when I talk about us not putting a label on it, when we separated for that small amount of time, when we came back, I was very clear on, at this point, I had worked on me, and allowed God to just get me to a place to where I was ready for a relationship. And that second time, I was very clear on, I'm not going to be your girlfriend for a long period of time. This is what I want, and just some people are scared to say, this is what I want, and fear that they may run the other person away. Yeah. But for me, I was just like, look, this is what we need to clearly define this. And now going through the door, this is what I want. I want to be Mrs. Davidson. And if that's not, and he was just, before I could even get it out my mouth good, he was like, this is what it is. So I think we need to be, first off, very clear on what you want and not being afraid to say what you want.
Absolutely. I mean, you brought up something really, really important. It's been like the running theme for a lot of the episodes, and it's that you need to know who you are before you attach yourself to someone else. And really thinking about, okay, like you said, what are my boundaries? What are my deal breakers? Who am I by myself? That should this not happen, or should this union not work, that I'm still okay with being with myself. And so talk to us about how you had to explore, or what you might have even went through while you were waiting for your spouse. Talk to us about, how do you prepare? How do you work on yourself? You mentioned that. How do you work on yourself in that time frame so that you're ready for that next step?
And great question, Alicia. And I want to go to when you said that there's a story behind it in the book as revealed to the Davidsons. Well, our book is Christian based. And so as many may know, a lot of people use the Bible as their guide, as we do, for just everyday problems, everything. You have money issues, you sick, all of that, you can go to the word and you can get what it is. Well, not so much for dating. So because the Bible didn't explicitly talk about dating, this is where our relationship with God came in, and what he revealed to us during our dating process. Because like he told you, neither one of us were without children before we were married. We had children, so we did
children at that.
Exactly. We did it. We didn't do it God's way the first time, but this time God had to reveal things to us to get us together, and then to a point of this, right? So for that, as revealed to the Davidsons, this is what God. These are practical ways that God has shown us. What to do and how to do it. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing is that we really, I really had to just strip of a mistress, and just really get in close relationship with Christ, for him to be able to just take all that stuff out. Like you mentioned earlier, being a wife is a ministry. So that selfishness, that is me, all of that had to be stripped. all of that had to be, you know, I had to get before God, and just things of, like we mentioned, learning, being okay with going out to eat by myself, being okay with who I am, my physical appearance, whether, you know, whether Deontay tell me I'm pretty today or not, I, you know, how I feel about myself, those things, and just doing just self-help things to really just get you in a place of, you know who you are and you know whose you are.
Right.
And that time when I talk about, you know, just being, okay, this is what I want, and if you don't want that, that's fine. Before, I would have been teeter-totter. But because I allowed that process of building me, getting to know me, being strengthened in who I am as a woman of God, I just put it out there.
Oh,
And
okay,
when I put it out there, it's like, you know,
it's it.
so long, you know, this prize right here.
Right.
So thank God he was on board, you know,
Right.
but it wouldn't have tore me up like it would have if my identity would have been in him. To be honest with
Oh,
you,
that's good.
yeah, working on myself, it was all God. And that's why we say as revealed to the Davidsons, because God distinctly told me the first time that we dated, when we kind of gradually, it wasn't like a bad breakup or anything, but when we gradually grew apart, God said I had to allow that because you would have made him your God. Because you were not ready. You were not ready for marriage. So you have to come with me. You have to, you know, commune with me, get to know who you are, get to know your likes, and be okay with it. Be okay that you like certain things and you don't like certain things. Be okay with you don't necessarily all the time fit with the crowd. Be okay with standing out, like be okay with who you are. And most importantly, I had to accept my call to ministry. I had to realize that I had a call to work with children and families. See, before then, I couldn't concretely say that this is my purpose. This is who Ametris is alone before I partner up with him. This is who she is alone.
Gotcha.
Well, I was on the same track, and I don't want to go too far into the book.
Yeah.
But for myself, I literally had to leave the state in order to be in my wilderness. And in my wilderness, my wilderness is a little different than most.
Yeah.
You know, we all have friends, we have associates. And within those friends and associates, you know, sometimes we like lean on them for information, lean on them for advice, lean on them for different ideas or whatever, especially those we think are somewhat doing things right. And so with that, God told me I had to silence them voices.
Oh, good.
I had to, you know, eliminate the noise that's in my head.
Good.
And so you hit something on the head earlier about being alone. You know, can you truly just be okay with the only company you have is yourself?
Oh,
You know, it's times where most people, well, I'm not gonna say most, a lot of people gotta have noise going at all times.
You know.
We gotta have people, even if they're not in the same room with them, they gotta have people around them somewhere just to feel comfortable and okay.
You're
So
right.
I was like, can you be alone by yourself? You and I can converse. You can converse with all the wrong ones, but now you and I got to talk.
Yes.
So we don't need them in your ear because they don't know me like you know.
Right.
I like for myself. This is one thing I had to tell people before as well, and telling some of my business now as well. I did 4 years in prison, and some people are like, hey, you know, jailhouse ministry. Wrong. I knew God before then.
Right.
It was my falling away that had me in the state that I was in before.
Right.
Now God is like, hey, in order for me to close out everybody else that you're familiar with, I'm gonna look you somewhere where you don't have people that you're familiar with. Now, granted, my family was there, but this is a kicker to a lot. I wasn't really familiar with my family. And so me being there is like, okay, now this is a fresh start to start ripping away those onion peels.
The layers, yeah.
Yes, get rid of those layers that I've been stacking on for all these years. Which for me, those layers were different relationships. Whether it's been in real dating relationships, friendship relationships, because a lot of them meant me no good, and I was still holding on to people that I should have been let go.
You're right.
People hurt me, and I've said, you know what, it's okay. We good. You had intentions behind it, and I'm okay with it because you probably needed whatever. And God was like, you know, you hold on to people that I meant for you just to have in your life 1 year.
Right.
Or just for this season, and you still got them hanging on with you. They're draining. And in those senses right there, people got to realize it may be hurtful for a little while, but what God has on this side right here is way far better than that pain you're going through because you're losing these relationships. And that's something I have to, I have to keep telling myself back then is you're gonna have to cut loose some family. You have to cut loose some people that you know since you was 4, 5, 6 years old. You know, people think, oh, we've been knowing each other 30-some years. But what? Are you helping me or are you hurting me? If you're not helping, especially once you see I'm in a union, if you're not going to build this union up more, we don't need you.
We don't need you.
Something that our pastor says, and I took that, and it's like my motto now. I even say it at work at times. If I can't help you, I promise you I won't hurt you. And that's what everybody has to take on at all times for a relationship. If you're not going to help the people out, please don't hurt them.
Don't hurt them. Right. That's good. Oh my God, y'all, this is so good. This is so good. I actually found 3 questions, and I'm gonna try to remember them as we talk, but there are 3 things that came out in what you guys just said. The first one is thinking about dating and being prepared, or at least, being okay with the process, I guess. Do you think you have to be 100% before marrying of yourself? You have to be a whole individual before you marry. What you think?
I think that you do need to be whole. But we have to understand that whole doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to always have some deficiencies.
Okay.
But
yes.
I think that, and for us, God just has a way of, and you may experience this too, because you've been married longer than we have, but where he may lack, it's almost like God gives me an excess in that for him to be able to understand me. And like, there are times, like for instance, when you think about being whole, a lot of people will say, that's without insecurities. However, there may be some insecurities that I have, and as my husband, he's able to help me through that process. If he can't physically help me, but can lead me to where, and not just saying, oh, you insecure, you're not whole.
That's what I was looking for.
Exactly. So you are whole as far as you understand who you are. You can stand on your own. However, you're a partner with that person that can help you navigate through those things that you may be lacking.
Now, one thing you have to, we're going to get scientific, have to dissect here is the word whole for yourself. And the biggest portion of that is, where is your mind state? We don't want to be religious. You don't want to just be spiritual. You want to be truly, truly sold out to God. That's what's making you whole, because we can't be whole on our own.
Right.
In my own power, I will never be able to make myself whole. Why? Because even in the sense of where he tells us forgive and forget, we often stumble on both of those parts at different times.
You're right.
There's things in our life that scarred us, because right now we're both wearing invisible scars that other people will never see. With those invisible scars, are you able to just say, you know what, Lord, it's in your hands, because in my own power, I'm gonna keep on throwing it back up. And some people will take the word being whole as I'm 100% through with everything.
Right.
It'll never be that.
Never.
So your concept of being whole you're never going to be ready for
Never,
another
yeah.
relationship if
Yeah.
you're holding on to those things thinking that's whole. No, the wholeness comes when you can say, you know what, God, I know I fall short here, but I know you're going to help me get past this because I know who to come to when I'm feeling like this is rising back up. And within a marriage, people, well, not even just marriage, in any relationship, whether it's intimacy, friendship, work related, or just associates, the partnership has to be 100, 100. It is not 50-50. People got to get that concept and throw that totally out the window.
I listen. You got.
I
totally agree.
Mentioned it earlier. If she falls short on her 50%, guess what? I'm covering 150 now because I'm taking up her other 50% that she's not 100% on, and vice versa. Today might not be my day. I might be down 20%.
Right.
So now she's 120 because I'm only at 80. But every all times you have to give 100, 100. So when she comes and she's whole, guess what? She's going to help me out when I'm falling short today. She's going to help me out when I'm falling short this week, and vice versa. So people got to get away from the 50-50, making that 100%. No, you both give 100% at all times. And sometimes, guess what? If I fall short, God's going to kick in and help her pick up other pieces, vice versa on our sides. And so with that, we just have to make sure that your minds are both ready and understanding that these things are going to happen. They are going to come.
Right.
So whenever she falls, I'm not going to look at her like, oh, you're not pulling your weight today. No, her weight is my weight.
Yeah.
My weight is her weight. So there's not a hers and his. It's a ours. This weight belongs to the Davidsons now.
Yeah, and I don't want to reiterate what you said, and I want to use it in this context that it is you like you said 100, right? And when she's not at the 8, she's at 80, and you need to fill in the 20. I think you're absolutely right that you can come in and fill that 20% without having to give up your 100. Like you should, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we should have to drain our partner of anything in order for us to be whole. Exactly. I think it's okay for us to be whole at the same time. But like you said, it's that I'm 150 now. I'm not just, I have to fill in the gap, but I'm still present. I'm still holding my own. I still have to play the role that she needs me to play, but I also need to pick up the slack. And I think that is so key to really sustaining and holding relationships. And then you said something earlier that I was like, you're absolutely right. How your circles get smaller, how you don't have so many people in your face and talking to you, and so it does, because I think you're right. I think God really puts us with the people and the places and the spaces that we need to support our marriages. I believe that. But that is so good. You don't lose your 100 to help fill the cup of your spouse. I love that. That.
And Alicia, too, you think about the conversation we just had about you coming in being whole, being 100%, but that doesn't mean that you're not without deficiencies. These are conversations that you're having, even though we know that your mouth can say one thing, but you do another. But you're having these conversations in the dating process.
You should.
Exactly. Because if your mindset is different, it may not necessarily mean that we can't move forward, in a relationship, hopefully to marriage. However, now we need to see what shifts in our mindset and how can we get there. What wise counsel can we seek out to kind of help us, praying together to get us in that same space? Because if you feel like we 50-50 and I'm over here like, no, we should be 100, there's going to be some conflict. Going in, these are conversations that you should be having. I like you, you cute, I like you, you handsome, but let's get to the meat of this, because at some point we got to get past the physical and work on having a healthy, happy marriage. And if I can just say it, I'm a big advocate for you can have a healthy, happy marriage. You can have a healthy, happy relationship. The
Right.
world wants you to believe that. However, we believe that God is still sovereign in relationships and that he made us.
Mm-hmm.
He made us
Mm-hmm.
to have healthy relationships because we want to show the world that we good. Are we perfect? Absolutely not.
Right.
Do we,
Right.
you know, do I want to square up sometime with 6'4"? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But no, we can show this, and it's I'm so glad that you had this on your mind, because that's another thing behind this as revealed to the Davidsons.
Mm-hmm.
We say, okay, just date, do this, don't do this, do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, but we don't give them the practical tips. If we tell our 6-year-old, go wash your clothes, we're going to teach her how to sort the clothes. We're going to teach her how to put the detergent in the washing machine. We're going to teach her, how to turn on the cycles, this cycle for this and that. But when it comes to dating, it's just like,
there you go.
Figure it out.
It's date. And you do it the wrong way, and then you get tangled up with all these different spirits, and then you wonder why. Don't know why I can't get a man. Why? It's some good out there. We just got to work on us to make sure that we're the good. We're part of that good.
And that's the biggest thing that you hit on right there is from both sides, male and female perspective, are saying there's not a good, person out there. But you have to fail to realize, go look in the mirror to make sure you're that good person. Make sure you're that good thing.
Come on now,
because you're saying that you're including yourself in that mix. If I'm saying there's no, the dating pool has pee in it, as they say, go out there and clear it up. Go help clear it up. In pools, they use chlorine tabs. Well, here in this dating pool, you got to start with yourself and start being the process so other people can see that there are good people out there. I'm sitting here, still dirty, and I'm messed up the dating pool. Who am I to talk about it?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the dating pool if I'm part of the problem.
I totally agree. I really like the fact that it's important to understand that you're not gonna have all of the answers. Things are gonna happen that you didn't expect, of course, and you're gonna change and he's gonna change. But I really feel like talking it over during the dating phase is critical, because then we get to see what we're working with. We get to see who we're working
you just
with.
sparked the thought in my head just then when you said that. You have to think that in life, we have an insurance policy for almost everything. Whether it's for life insurance, whether it's medical, dental, vision, and all those things are just in case something happens. So you can think of having God in your corner is your insurance policy when you're out here dating. You may run into an accident in the dating process that you can't handle. Therefore, you know what? You got to bring out your insurance policy. God, I bring this problem to you. He is the one that's going to make sure that he can bring it back together and make it whole again. Because on our own, we're going to mess it up worse than before. It's like having a car accident. Instead of you using your insurance policy, you want to go out there and go tinker on it yourself. When you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing the first time, you'll be in right standings. So for ourselves, we had to go strictly to our insurance policy, which is God. Make sure we got ourselves correct, in right order. First, mindset. If your mindset is not there, the rest of it will not follow. The old adage, I don't care how many years ago it's been, I don't care if it's in the US, over in the Ukraine, overseas where they're doing the kings and queens, they'll tell you quick. Cut off the head, and what happens? The body follows. So if your head is not right, nothing else with you is going to be right. And everything that's in your head gets into your spirit.
Right. I like that a lot. And I know you guys, did you do marriage counseling?
Yes,
before you did marriage counseling? Thinking about the dating process and thinking about where you are now in your marriage, 8 years in, Do you think that you would have made it this far if you hadn't had marriage counseling, even though you have your faith, right? You have the reassurance from God that, you know what, I'm going to help you figure this out. I have the tools for you guys to figure this out. Do you think that if you hadn't had marriage counseling, that things would be the way that they are now?
I don't, because we actually did too. And like for us, marriage counseling is really for us, we realized that this is something that kind of like your car, like with maintenance or whatever. So we had a practical one through a counselor, and then we had my then pastors and our current pastor, because when we got married, I moved to his church. So with it's ongoing, like with our pastors. That's another thing to consider when you are dating, you know, your religious practice, your faith, right? Because what we believe is that the man is the head of the home. Now, a lot of women don't necessarily, they say they believe that, but they have some, you know, some reservations or whatever the case may be. They have some reservations. But for us, I say that I want to say that in part, it's one of our saving graces to have that marriage counseling, somebody that can pull your coattail, somebody, we talk about accountability partners in here, somebody that is your accountability partner, somebody that to be able to tell you the truth, even though it may hurt your feelings. Like, right. My pastor wife told me one time, she was like, daughter, you just gonna have to pray about it. And you know, Alicia, I can get mouthy a little bit sometimes. I'm like, well, Mom, I'm tired of da. And she's like, you're in his ear. But when you pray about it, God can get to the heart.
Oh my God, yes. I want to talk to you about that in a second, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, and when you're dating, like, are you going to be part of being whole is, can I submit to authority? You know what I'm saying? Not just my husband, but that wise counsel. When you know what I'm saying, when she's saying, "Girl, shut up," and just your answer, yes, your answer is in prayer. He isn't going in one ear and out the other, but that heart is, God changes the heart. God can get in the heart, and that's what your prayer is. That's your area of prayer, not your area of nagging. And these are conversations in the beginning to prepare for a relationship that will eventually lead to marriage. Are you open to counseling? What are your expectations out of counseling? Because we had one counselor that, I mean, she was nice and stuff like that, but we kind of knew she was telling us more about her than, you know, like, well, when we knew all about her kids, and I'm like, having those conversations. And one of the things that a conversation I remember having with him was, and this was when we got back together and found out, hey, this is what we want. But in between then, I had accepted my calling as a minister. And so I needed to know, number one, how he felt about that. And number two, at that time, he wasn't a deacon or anything. And I'm not saying that there's, yeah, right. Just hear my heart here. But some men are not okay with that. So, you know, even though I accepted my calling, and I remember saying, hey, is that going to be an issue, you know, for you or whatever? So communication is.
What about you, Beyonce? What are your thoughts on that marriage counseling? How did it help you guys?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll tell you, on premarital counseling, it helps you get some of the hard questions out of the way. Helps you understand those hard questions and what life can look like. You know, we all have these preconceived notions of what we think happily ever after looks like.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we're always stuck in the bliss of what they call the honeymoon stage. That's all we see, especially as men. You know, we have this ideal of we're going to get married, it's going to live happily ever after, go off into the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
But we forget that after the marriage, after the honeymoon, reality sits in,
Yeah.
bills sits in, all other finances sit in,
Yeah.
the daily chores sit in,
Yeah.
the keeping things afloat sits in, and for us, our blended family sits in.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
you have ourselves, our children, then our children's other households.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
now the dynamics changes because for us, it's not just one household.
Right.
So now you have to think on the lines of, one, are the children happy here, there, everywhere else,
Yeah.
all times? And are we just too much in bliss here that we're overlooking everything else?
Mm-hmm.
We have to make sure that you're grounded in that you can actually sit up and be vigilant of all these things happening, because landmines are going to strike here, there, and everywhere. You're
Everywhere.
going to be grounded enough to stay on this side of it and not be on the opposite side of those things.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we had to make sure we grounded ourselves in, because early on we could have been at each other because of a situation that came up in between.
Mm-hmm.
I thank the Lord we were mindful enough to go to the one who helped us in the beginning, which is God. And instead of, we'll say the book is here and us being on this side and that side, we both go around it and put it there, and we both look at it here.
Oh, good.
Always got to make sure it's us against whatever the issue or concern is.
That's
It's
good.
never us against each other.
That's good.
Concern, because then it becomes tug of war.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. I think that's a really, really good point. I think it's important during the dating phase that you understand that you're not at competition. You're not in competition with your spouse.
Exactly.
One doesn't have to up the other. I don't have to prove anything to you except for that I love and respect you. Whatever the case may be, that's what's important. And I think a lot of times we lose sight during that phase that, we're trying to impress each other. We're trying to, make sure that we put on our best face, when in fact, I need to see you at your worst time. I need to see you when you're sad. I need to see you when you're angry. I need to see you when you're unsure. I need to see you. I need to see who you are in every aspect of your life, because ultimately, I need to know how to respond. I need to know, and I may not get it right. I may not understand a thing that you're going through, but at least I know, okay, he's going to shut down on me. Like it's a bad time, he's going to shut down on me. Or at least I know, when things go wrong, what type of communication we're going to have. And do I need to press him? And do I need to, lay back? That's why what you said was being in his ear. I'm going to tell you something. This is one of the reasons why I do the podcast, along with many other reasons, but this is probably the number one reason why I do this podcast, because I've always felt like marriage was not meant for me to tell my spouse what to do. It's not meant for him to tell me what to do. It was ultimately me saying to myself, God, work on me, and I'm going to let you work on him. And it goes vice versa. So when you said talking to his heart, that's absolutely 100% of what it is. So if you don't have the marriage or the relationship that you have or you want, you really don't need to say, well, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, so and so. You ain't doing this. I don't like this. You really need to go to God and say, God, I want you to work on this heart. I need this from my spouse. I want him to be more receptive. I mean, let God talk in his ear. That's the point I'm trying to make, because we ain't going to say it right. It's not going to come across right. It's not going to come across right when we say it. Be honest. It ends up in an argument sometimes when we're not able to fully express what we need in the right way. However, if we respond to God and say, God, how do I communicate, like you mentioned? How can I express to my spouse that I need X, Y, and Z? So that leads me to, because we are already running over time a little bit. I'm trying to keep us, because it's just so much information that I love. I'm like, oh God, I gotta get this. In the dating phase, especially when you're older, all the things you guys mentioned, but having the blended families and the careers, and you basically are who you're going to be. Once you get older and you've experienced so many different things, you know what you don't want and you know what you don't like. Do you and this is just, you know, to you guys' point about things being revealed to you as you went through this process, do you believe that you need to say verbatim, I don't like this, I don't want this is a boundary for me? Like, do you express those things verbatim in the dating phase so there's no confusion? Like, we're not gonna get into my marriage and I see this. Like, I've already told you that this is not what I need, this is not what I desire. So I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, how do you ask for what you want during the dating phase?
So I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think that because who we are as a girlfriend is different than who we are as a wife. Okay. Because see, wife, I have a responsibility, that ministry you talked about, whereas girlfriend, I don't have that, right? So I think that I think the non-negotiables need to be talked about. You know, like, and I think that for us, just being transparent, if we would have been more open as it relates to friendships of the opposite sex.
Oh, okay.
The get-go, then I think that would have eliminated some heartache. So but instead of me just saying, well, why she calling you so much? Well, what time? All of that, instead of just saying, hey, from a female perspective, when y'all talk, it makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like it. Can you not do that? You know what I'm saying? And I can't make him do anything. Right. But if he respects me and respects what I'm saying, he will. Yes, but the key to that is, Alicia, that wholeness and being mature enough. I wasn't mature enough the first time because I was just like, why she all like kind of and that's just that. But being mature enough to say, hey, let me tell you, this bothers me. Now, on the other hand, some things I just want my husband, my mate, to get to know about me. You know what I'm saying? I want that to be a part of his prayer life, because part of my prayer life is, like, we were talking today and he was like, babe, I need my glasses now. Well, when we first got married, he didn't need glasses. And what I mean is that we change physically over time. We just change over time in all ways. Some of those things I want him to seek God on how to love me. So, you know what I'm saying? How to wow me, or, you know, how to just, like, and sometimes we'll have the conversation, babe, what do you want me to start, stop, or continue doing? But we had to come to a level of maturity and wholeness before we could have that conversation without it being, well, yeah, when you you know, just
it would have went haywire completely.
Yes.
And I would definitely say, in those parameters, that's the biggest thing, is people have to be reminded of how God created us. 2 ears, 1 mouth. And with that, you have to be mindful enough to give the other person the floor so they can just get it all out. One, you have to be mindful enough to listen. And we're going to go back to a lot of work settings. Actively listen.
Yes.
You know, just listening to hear is one thing. Actively listen, which means you're pulling apart, you know, dissecting what they're saying and really getting an understanding of it. Because we don't want you just to listen to respond.
Oh, yes.
That's not the point. The point is listen to really hone in on what your spouse, your partner, you know, what they're saying to you, what they're conveying to you. I can definitely say that for anyone trying to date, trying to relate, the hard questions should always come out before you make that true commitment. Because once you're committed, the heart and mind have a conflict. And now the heart is feeling one thing, but the mind is telling you another. And now you got that second war raging that we found out in English, you know, me versus me. And now you're trying to figure out, you know, is it just, well, feeling? Is God telling me something? Or is it just that I want this so badly, I'm trying to act like it's God telling me this?
Mm-hmm. Right.
'Cause we all been there.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of times that's why I had to go to my wilderness, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just what I wanted so bad that I was putting God here in my mind and saying that, it's my voice I'm hearing, but I'm saying it's God's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you put all those hard questions, all those hard topics, all those hard everythings that you have, your deal breakers, your what you want to see for the futures, all those on the table ahead of time, you're still going to leave room for exploitation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're going to know what your deal breakers are. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
know that right now, before we grow further, this is what we both want to see from one another. This is what we're both going to need from one another in order to say, I do.
Absolutely.
That,
I love that.
I mean,
What is,
so
right. So without going too much in the book, because I really want people to purchase this book, especially I would even be inclined, because I have my husband's daughter is she's our daughter, but of course she's not my biological child, but she's at that age where, and Demetrius, I know you can relate to this. I think your daughter is progressing into the relationships and having children and all that stuff. I would imagine that this book is really what they need. It's really what they need. I just feel like they don't get it, and they don't want to go by the rules. They want to do their own thing. And I just feel like it doesn't work. And she's at that age where she desires to be in a relationship. She already has a child, relationship wasn't the best. And she desires to be in a relationship. And I just want you guys to tap on it without going too deep. What exactly is dating God's way?
I'm gonna let Amatrice, I'm gonna let Amatrice speak on that first, and I'll do cleanup on the back.
Okay. So basically it's we're letting people know, we're declaring all over that God is still sovereign in relationships, and that we can do it in a way we can date with the plan of marriage, dating with the purpose. We can date in a way that pleases God and tell the world that he is still sovereign. Part of that, Alicia, we talked about this at the book signing, is that with your daughter, and what we do with ours is we pray for her, because part of it is that a book can tell them one thing, but for my kids, what they saw when I wasn't the woman of God that I am now, when I wasn't married, when I wasn't doing it the right way, that's what they did. That's what they'll do, because we teach them by showing them. I showed them the wrong way for years. I showed them the wrong way, point blank, period. So now I had to repent. We both repented to our older kids, because they're doing what they saw. And so now we got to kind of do damage control and come back. But we just want to declare to the world that if you do it in a way, not how the world tells you to do it, but in a way that pleases God, without all your emotions, without all of that, but with how God guides us, then you're good.
Okay.
The saving grace and all that is making sure that we are aligning everything up. We're going to call God and Jesus to our plumb line. Is what we're going to measure thing up, ruler wise.
Okay.
And what it does, when you're looking at hindsight, it helps you correct some things that you started getting wrong.
Oh, okay.
But now when you're looking toward the future, it's going to help you understand that what she and I does, it touches generations. And we want that touch to be a fruitful touch and not a curse. What I say, I'll speak from the male point of view, because what I've been through, what we're trying to do with this is guide them and give them guidance, which is from biblical principles, biblical aspects, to help us reunite the families the way they should be, kingdom-based, and to eliminate the words that I hate to hear, baby daddy, baby mama. It should be mother and fathers as a unit in one home. Kids should be able to come home, sit at the table with their parents, talk things through, pour down to each and every one of them, so that the same pour they can pour into their next generation.
Yeah.
And that pour should not have to jump from house to house to house to house to house, because the family unit is connected only under one roof.
Right.
Things get diluted when you have this house preaching Buddha and this house preaching Christianity. And I think that's where a lot of the separation from God came into play. We're fighting over here to bring Christianity in another household over there because you share a child. It's putting something else there. And now you have one confused child. And so with us and this is the plumb line. These are the practical principles that can be applied daily without no hard work.
Oh, good.
The hardest work you have to do is get to your knees, pray to God, and ask Him to fill in where you cannot, because you cannot do it on your own.
Right.
Trust me. Had it been for me trying to do it on my own, there would not be Davidsons.
You are right. You are right. You're absolutely right.
The practical tips are like the teacher in both of us, actually. We don't want to just say do the work. We want to show you how to do the work.
How to do it.
A practical tip, something just very, very tangible, like have an accountability partner. That's easy. Alicia, will you be my accountability partner to make sure that we have these boundaries while we're dating? That type thing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think this is a good spot to end, to kind of end our conversation, because I think it's important that no matter what age bracket you're in, I mean, you could be an older person, like in your 50s, and you still want to be, married. I still think that dating actually sets the foundation for a stronger marriage, if that makes sense. Like, if we do it right while we're dating, then when we get married, it's not as hard. Like you said, it's not meant to be hard. I mean, it's just, it is meant to be a very gracious, but also a very teaching aspect of your life. Like, you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to learn something about each other. And doing it together just makes it so much more rich. Like, I'm crazy today and you're going to be crazy tomorrow. But I mean, just really figuring out what that dynamic looks like for your relationship, I think is so important. So I appreciate you guys so much. I really wish we could talk longer.
Thank you for having us.
I love this so much. So tell people before we go how they can purchase the book, how they can support you. Are you guys doing any more book events, any appearances coming up? Like, how can we get to where you guys are to support you with this book?
Right. So they can go to www.datinggodsway.com to order the book. Also, we have upcoming events on the website, and our next we'll have a workshop where we'll kind of it's a little bit more informal. We'll be teaching some of the information that's in the book, and that will be at Victoria's Faith Christian Center for Buena Vista Road, over behind right there where the beauty supply store is, behind AutoZone.
Yes. I know that is.
Yes, okay. We'll be there next Saturday at 1:00, so you can catch us there. Like and follow us on Facebook at Dating God's Way, as revealed to the Davidsons.
All right. Awesome. Well, I thank you guys so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much more of your day. I really appreciate the energy and the love that you have for each other. I pray that you continue to have the most blessed marriage. I really do.
Same to you.
I just get this feeling that you guys are going to do some amazing things together. And I think he made the right choice putting y'all together. I'm glad y'all figured all that out. It got it together.
So, Alicia, out my feelings.
Yep, I got out my head.
Listen, I'm learning as I go. This is a process for me as well. Right. It's not by happenstance that I decided to move by doing a podcast. And like I was telling the last guest, I don't know what this is. I don't know what God is doing. I really don't. And I don't care. I just feel like at this point, if you put me in this space to do or be or help somebody, then I'm just gonna do it. And like I said, I'm winging it for the most part.
So, Alicia, every time you do something, God has just truly blessed you to do it in excellence. So every time you do something, and then you be like, I'm not doing this no more. Like, I slick be mad because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why? Why you're so, I mean, just everything that you do is in a spirit of excellence. And we just declare that as God continue to speak to you, that you will just be open. Like he said, get out your
That's
head.
hard for me. I will say that it's very hard for me, but I am going to take heed and do it.
Right. And it's you're blessing the world, waffles and wives. And I just enjoyed it when I came to your house to do the waffles and wives. So yes, God's you, girl. Just
Well,
keep
I
it.
thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys so much. This has been a really awesome conversation. I will make sure to put in the comments all the information that you provided to me about how they can get the book and the website and following you. And if you'll email me the event that you have coming up at the church, I'll put that in there as well. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia.
I appreciate it as well.